DeShawn Williams was just delivering a pizza to the mansion on Hillcrest Drive when he heard the screaming from inside. What he did next would save a billionaire's life and expose a truth that would change both their worlds forever. Before starting the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday night when DeShawn Williams pulled his beat-up Honda Civic into the circular driveway of 1247 Hillcrest Drive. At 23, DeShawn had been delivering pizzas for Tony's Pizza Palace for 2 years, working nights to pay for community college classes during the day. The mansion before him was unlike anything in his usual delivery radius. Most of his runs were to apartment complexes in middle-class neighborhoods, but this house was a sprawling estate worth at least $12 million, complete with manicured gardens and a fountain in the front yard. DeShawn checked the order on his receipt. 1 large pepperoni pizza, extra cheese, delivery to Richard Hartwell. The name didn't mean anything to him, but the $50 tip added to the online order certainly did. That tip alone was more than he usually made in an entire night. What DeShawn didn't know was that he was delivering to Richard Hartwell, CEO of Hartwell Technologies, a defense contracting company worth $1.8 billion. Hartwell had built his fortune on military software systems and had more enemies than friends, both in business and politics. DeShawn also didn't know that 3 armed men had been watching the Hartwell estate for weeks, waiting for the perfect opportunity to break in. They knew Hartwell kept a safe in his home office containing cash, jewelry, and most importantly, encrypted drives with classified defense contracts that were worth millions on the black market. As DeShawn grabbed the pizza from his warming bag and jogged toward the front door through the rain, he was thinking about his midterm exam tomorrow morning. He was majoring in criminal justice at the local community college, hoping to eventually become a police officer like his father had been before he was killed in the line of duty when DeShawn was 16. The front porch was lit by elegant lanterns, and DeShawn could see expensive cars in the driveway, a Mercedes, a BMW, and a Porsche. He rang the doorbell and waited, hearing the soft chimes echo inside the massive house. That's when he heard the screaming. The sound was muffled but unmistakable. Someone inside the house was in distress. DeShawn's first instinct was to assume it might be a television or perhaps an argument between family members. Rich people had problems too, he reasoned. But then he heard a man's voice shouting, "Where's the safe? Tell us now or this gets worse." Every instinct DeShawn had developed during his 2 tours in Afghanistan as a Marine kicked in immediately. Those weren't the sounds of a domestic dispute or a movie. Someone inside was being tortured. DeShawn's military training had taught him to assess situations quickly and make decisions based on incomplete information. He had 3 options: call the police and wait, leave the scene to avoid danger, or take immediate action to help whoever was inside. Most people would have chosen option 1 or 2. DeShawn chose option 3. He quietly set the pizza down and pulled out his cell phone, dialing 911 while moving around the side of the house to get a better understanding of the situation. 911, what's your emergency? This is DeShawn Williams at 1247 Hillcrest Drive, he whispered. I'm delivering pizza and I can hear what sounds like a home invasion in progress. Multiple male voices, sounds of violence. Send police immediately. Sir, are you inside the residence? No, I'm outside, but I can hear someone being hurt. Stay where you are and do not enter the building. Police are on the way. DeShawn ended the call, but instead of waiting by his car as the dispatcher had instructed, he moved closer to the house. Through a side window, he could see into what appeared to be a study or home office. What he saw made his blood run cold. An older white man in an expensive suit was tied to a chair, blood running from his nose and mouth. 3 men in ski masks were ransacking the office, throwing books and papers everywhere while one of them held a gun to the tied man's head. Last chance, Hartwell, the gunman was saying. We know you keep classified files here. Where's the safe? Richard Hartwell, despite being beaten and terrified, shook his head. I already told you there's no safe here. You've got the wrong information. DeShawn could see that Hartwell was lying. There was clearly a large safe built into the wall behind a painting that had been knocked aside during the struggle. But he was also impressed by the older man's courage in refusing to cooperate with his attackers. The lead gunman raised his weapon, pressing it against Hartwell's temple. "You've got 10 seconds to change your mind, or your family's going to find you with a hole in your head." That's when DeShawn made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Instead of waiting for police who might arrive too late, DeShawn decided to create a distraction that might give Hartwell a chance to survive until help arrived. He moved to the front of the house and began pounding on the front door while shouting at the top of his lungs, "Pizza delivery! Mr. Hartwell, your pizza is here! I need you to sign for this order." The effect was immediate. Through the window, DeShawn could see the three attackers freeze, looking at each other in confusion. They hadn't expected anyone to show up during their robbery. "Hello, M.R. Hartwell? I've got your pepperoni pizza. The receipt shows a $50 tip, so I need your signature." DeShawn continued pounding on the door and shouting, making as much noise as possible. His plan was simple: create enough commotion that the neighbors might notice and call police, while also making the robbers nervous about staying in the house any longer than necessary. But the plan backfired when one of the masked men opened the front door with his gun drawn. "What the hell do you want?" the man demanded, pointing his weapon directly at DeShawn's chest. DeShawn found himself staring down the barrel of a pistol, held by a man who clearly had no problem using violence to solve problems. This was exactly the kind of situation his Marine Corps training had prepared him for, but it was also exactly the kind of situation he had hoped never to face again after leaving the military. "I'm just delivering a pizza, man," DeShawn said, raising his hands but keeping his voice steady. "Got an order for Richard Hartwell at this address. Large pepperoni, extra cheese, $50 tip." The gunman studied DeShawn's uniform and the pizza delivery bag hanging from his shoulder. "You picked a real bad night to deliver pizza, kid. Get inside, now." DeShawn had a split second to decide his next move. He could try to run, but he'd likely be shot in the back. He could comply and hope the robbers would just tie him up and leave, or he could use the fact that they had just let their guard down by opening the door. He chose option 3. In one fluid motion, DeShawn dropped the pizza bag and grabbed the gunman's wrist, using a disarming technique he had learned in military combat training. The gun went off, but the shot went harmlessly into the air as DeShawn twisted the man's arm and drove his knee into the attacker's stomach. The gunman collapsed, gasping for breath, and DeShawn grabbed the fallen weapon while shouting into the house, "Federal agent, drop your weapons and get on the ground." It was a lie, but DeShawn was counting on the other two attackers being too surprised and confused to think clearly. His bluff worked perfectly. "FBI, FBI," he continued shouting while moving into the house. "The building is surrounded. Drop your weapons now." Through the doorway to the study, DeShawn could see the other two masked men looking at each other in panic. They had planned for a simple robbery, not a confrontation with federal law enforcement. Let's go, one of them shouted. "This whole thing's blown." DeShawn heard running footsteps and the sound of a back door slamming. The two remaining attackers had fled, leaving their unconscious partner behind and abandoning their plan to crack Hartwell's safe. DeShawn quickly secured the dropped gun and moved into the study, where Richard Hartwell was still tied to the chair, staring at him in complete shock. "Are you okay, sir?" DeShawn asked while untying Hartwell's restraints. "Are you injured anywhere besides your face?" I think I'm okay," Hartwell stammered. "Who are you? Are you really FBI?" "No, sir, I'm just the pizza delivery guy," DeShawn replied, helping Hartwell to his feet. "But I used to be a Marine, and I called 911 before I came inside. Police should be here any minute." Hartwell stared at DeShawn in amazement. "You're a pizza delivery driver who just fought off 3 armed robbers?" "Marines don't really retire, sir. We just change uniforms." As if on cue, the sound of police sirens filled the air, growing louder as multiple patrol cars approached the house. DeShawn carefully placed the captured gun on the desk and raised his hands as armed officers stormed into the room. "Hands up! Everyone on the ground!" "Officers, I'm DeShawn Williams, the person who called 911, DeShawn said calmly. "This is Richard Hartwell, the homeowner and victim. I'm a Marine veteran who intervened to stop a home invasion. The weapon on the desk belongs to one of the attackers, who is unconscious in the front hallway." Over the next 2 hours, DeShawn gave a detailed statement to detectives while paramedics treated Hartwell's injuries. The unconscious attacker was arrested and hospitalized, while police launched a manhunt for his 2 accomplices. "Mr. Williams," Detective Sarah Chen said as she finished taking his statement, "what you did tonight was incredibly brave, but also incredibly dangerous. These men were armed and desperate. You could have been killed." "Ma'am, I saw someone being tortured and I had the training to help," DeShawn replied. "Waiting for backup wasn't an option if Mr. Hartwell was going to survive." Detective Chen nodded approvingly. "Your military experience probably saved his life. But I have to ask, why didn't you just call 911 and wait outside like most people would have?" DeShawn thought about the question seriously. "Because my father was a police officer who taught me that sometimes you have to act when you see injustice, even if it's dangerous. And because Mr. Hartwell reminded me of officers I served with overseas, people who refused to give up information even when their lives were threatened." When the police finished their investigation and left the scene, Richard Hartwell found himself alone with DeShawn for the first time since the attack. "DeShawn," Hartwell said, "I don't know how to thank you for what you did tonight. You saved my life." "Just glad you're okay, sir," DeShawn replied. "Those men were serious about hurting you." "They were after classified defense contracts," Hartwell explained. "Information that could have compromised national security if it had fallen into the wrong hands. You didn't just save my life, you prevented a major breach of military secrets." Hartwell studied DeShawn more carefully. Despite being a pizza delivery driver, the young man carried himself with the bearing of a professional soldier. His responses to questions were precise and thoughtful. His actions during the crisis had been tactically sound and executed with remarkable skill. "DeShawn, can I ask you something personal? What are you doing delivering pizza? With your military background and the way you handled tonight's situation, you could be working in security, law enforcement, or defense contracting." DeShawn shrugged. "Pizza delivery pays the bills while I'm in school. I'm studying criminal justice, hoping to become a police officer eventually. But college is expensive, and I've got to eat while I'm studying." "What school are you attending?" "Community college downtown. I know it's not much, but it's what I can afford." Hartwell was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. Here was a young man with proven courage, military training, and clear intelligence, working a minimum wage job because he couldn't afford better educational opportunities. "DeShawn, I have a proposition for you," Hartwell said finally. "I'd like to offer you a job." "Sir, I appreciate that, but I don't really have experience in technology." "I'm not offering you a technology job," Hartwell interrupted. "I'm offering you a position as head of personal security for my family and company. Full salary, complete benefits, and I'll pay for you to finish your degree at any university you choose." DeShawn stared at him in shock. "Mr. Hartwell, I don't know what to say." "Say yes. Tonight you proved you're exactly the kind of person I want protecting the people I care about. Someone with the skills to handle danger and the character to risk his own safety for strangers." "But you don't really know anything about me," DeShawn protested. "I know that when you heard someone being hurt, you didn't hesitate to help. I know that when faced with armed criminals, you didn't panic or run. I know that you chose to study criminal justice instead of taking an easier path. That tells me everything I need to know about your character." 3 months later, DeShawn Williams was finishing his first semester at the State University, where his tuition, books, and living expenses were being covered by the Hartwell Foundation. He had traded his pizza delivery uniform for tailored suits and professional security training, but he never forgot the night that changed his life. "The best part about this job," DeShawn told his mother during one of their weekly dinners, "isn't the money or the education benefits. It's that Mr. Hartwell treats me like a trusted professional, not just hired help." DeShawn's mother, Patricia Williams, smiled proudly at her son. "Your father would be so proud of you. He always said that real police work isn't about the uniform. It's about being willing to protect people when they need it most." Richard Hartwell had indeed become more than just DeShawn's employer. The shared trauma of the home invasion had created a bond between two men from completely different worlds, united by their respect for courage and integrity. DeShawn saved my life, Hartwell explained to a reporter from the Business Journal. But more than that, he reminded me that heroism can come from unexpected places. I almost missed the opportunity to know an extraordinary person because I might have made assumptions about someone based on their job title. The story of that night had spread throughout their community, inspiring discussions about class, opportunity, and the importance of recognizing potential in unlikely places. I used to think that elite education and expensive training were the only ways to develop the kind of skills I saw DeShawn display, Hartwell said during a speech at the local Chamber of Commerce. But military service, life experience, and natural character proved to be just as valuable as any degree. DeShawn had used his new position not just for personal advancement, but as a platform to help other veterans transition from military to civilian careers. Working with Hartwell, he had established a program that connected former service members with job opportunities that utilized their unique skills and experiences. Every veteran has something valuable to offer, DeShawn told a group of recently discharged Marines. Sometimes you just need someone willing to look past surface appearances and see what you're really capable of. 2 years after the home invasion, DeShawn graduated summa cum laude with a degree in criminal justice and a minor in business administration. He had been accepted to law school with full scholarships from 3 different universities, but had decided to stay with Hartwell Technologies to continue building their veteran employment program. The pizza delivery job was just a stepping stone, DeShawn reflected during his graduation speech. But it taught me that you never know when life will present you with an opportunity to make a difference. The key is being prepared to act when that moment comes. Richard Hartwell, sitting in the audience with DeShawn's mother, applauded loudly as the young man who had saved his life walked across the stage to receive his diploma. I used to think success was about protecting what I had built, Hartwell said to Patricia Williams as they watched the ceremony. DeShawn taught me that real success is about using what you have to create opportunities for others. The home invasion that was supposed to destroy Richard Hartwell's life instead became the catalyst for one of the most meaningful relationships either man had ever experienced. DeShawn learned that courage and preparation could open doors to opportunities he had never imagined possible. Hartwell discovered that the most valuable people in his life might be those he would never have noticed under normal circumstances. "You know what I realized?" DeShawn said during a television interview about his transformation from pizza delivery driver to security executive. "That night wasn't really about me saving Mr. Hartwell's life. It was about both of us learning to see past our assumptions about each other and recognize the potential for genuine partnership." The reporter asked, "What advice would you give to other young people working minimum wage jobs while trying to build better futures?" DeShawn smiled, remembering the scared 23-year-old who had knocked on a stranger's door with a pizza order and walked into a life-changing situation. Never underestimate the power of doing the right thing, even when it's difficult or dangerous. You never know who's watching, who's evaluating your character, or what opportunities might open up when you prove you're someone worth investing in. The story of DeShawn Williams and Richard Hartwell proved that heroism doesn't always wear a uniform, that opportunity can knock at the most unexpected moments, and that the most important qualifications for success aren't found on a resume. They're found in a person's willingness to act with courage and integrity when it matters most. If this story touched your heart, remember that there are DeShawn Williams all around us. People whose current circumstances don't reflect their potential, whose character and capabilities are hidden beneath assumptions about their jobs or backgrounds. Sometimes the most important thing we can do is be ready to recognize extraordinary people in ordinary situations and give them the chance to show what they're truly capable of achieving. Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.